What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, it was certainly an interesting weekend for Square Enix as they made an announcement in the middle of the night for the US that the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters were indeed heading to consoles with some physical copies that caused quite a bit of confusion, and we'll go over all of that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Nintendo as they did push a new update for Switch Online ahead of the holidays, and we'll also be going over Xbox Game Pass as it looks like Microsoft could be introducing an even cheaper tier with a bit of a catch. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed, specifically their entry that they're developing for mobile devices as some playtest footage got out there. This was for Assassin's Creed Jade. It's up on places like Reddit or Twitter. It's fairly easy to come across. But Ubisoft's still taking them down, so I can't necessarily show you that footage here. It is apparently on an iPhone, and a person played it for about 2.5 minutes. And you know what? Looks a lot better than I was expecting. Look, we think of these mobile games or these adaptations of these console games to mobile phones, and we're thinking of, okay, menu systems, gotcha mechanics, like that's the way they would make it work with a touchscreen like that. This looks just like an Assassin's Creed game shrunken down onto phones with touch screens in mind. And I think that's still my biggest issue with these games on phones is you're still dealing with touch screens that just don't give you the best control overall. And Assassin's Creed having this really big game that could be hampered by a touchscreen for controls, it's rough. But from what we saw here with a playtest that is early on in development, I'm sure looked pretty good. So while I know we have these ideas of mobile games for these larger AAA titles from consoles, might have to start rethinking that because it just looked like Assassin's Creed on a phone. Also, we know that Meta has been going through some tough times, and that's putting it lightly based on how much money they're losing when it comes to the valuation of the company. Well, now looks like they have another big loss as John Carmack is leaving the company. We can see this over on VGC. He did put out a response talking about some of his reasoning as to why he's leaving after some statements got out there that didn't necessarily paint the entire picture. He says, "We have a ridiculous amount of people and resources, but we constantly self-sabotage and squander effort. There is no way to sugarcoat this. I think our organization is operating at half the effectiveness that would make me happy. It has been a struggle for me. I have a voice at the highest levels here, so it feels like I should be able to move things, but I'm evidently not persuasive enough. A good fraction of the things I complain about eventually turn my way after a year or two passes and evidence piles up, but I have never been able to kill stupid things before they cause damage or set a direction and have a team actually stick to it. I think my influence at the margins has been positive, but it has never been a prime mover." So before with Oculus, he's working with a lot of VR virtual reality technology there and work to improve MetaQuest and the idea of bringing a social environment in with virtual reality, which is, I mean, something that people are shooting for with this metaverse stuff and Meta going all in, even at the cost of the company. But seems like John Carmack had enough, and when a company that big attempts to be, we'll say, agile with some of these projects, doesn't always work out, and it feels like it takes way longer than it should. And now it seems like he's going in to work with AI in like a smaller startup that he has. So I'll be curious to see what he is able to come up with there. But yeah, things are not going well for Meta at all. Oh, and next month we do have One Piece Odyssey coming out, and I think that's gonna be my entry into just the One Piece universe, to where I can figure out exactly what it is. I know there's an anime I can watch, there's manga, there's like 1,000 episodes, all right? This seems like an original story in the universe that maybe I can see if it's something I would like. And it looks like there's also going to be a demo that we can try. We can see this posted up over on Twitter. This is from Bandai Namco US saying a demo version of One Piece Odyssey will be released for Xbox and PlayStation consoles on January 10th, 2023. Progress in this demo will carry over to the full game, which is great news. I do like those kind of demos where it doesn't feel like you're wasting your time necessarily playing through it. It will have progress that you can then pick right up on if you like the demo into the full game. One of my favorite demos is still Dragon Quest XI because it was like 10 hours long, and if you've played the game, that's just scratching the surface. So I like the trend of these kind of demos. I hope it continues on as we go forward here. But yeah, I'll try out One Piece Odyssey, the demo itself, and if I like it, I'll move into the full game. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Square Enix and their random announcement over the weekend. Now, for me, this was at 1 a.m., Yeah, it's just so overnight, they announced this. They say the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster series is coming to Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4. Experience these classics individually or as a bundle when they launch digitally in spring 2023. So I understand time zone differences, and sure, in Japan, this would have been like, what, midday? Sunday. Even then, it's like they announced it on a Sunday. You figure during the week, business hours, you announce this because they had a physical copy that was definitely set up as more of a collector's item that went live right away, and it sold out in 30 minutes. But let's take a look at that collector's edition here, starting with the more basic edition, which is just the box, the cartridge or disc for PlayStation, all of the different Final Fantasy Pixel remasters, that being 1 through 6, on the disc or cartridge. It coming in at $75, and this right away had people confused as to why is this so expensive exactly? Well, to be honest, it's the same price as what they have set up on Steam for the bundle. That's like $74.82 or something, and that gets you just the 6 Pixel remaster. So I assume Square just set the price like that for the physical copy. The thing I'm confused and annoyed about is that the shipping is somehow $25 for the Switch or PlayStation. It's a little box that's going to go in an envelope, most likely, and be shipped out here. Maybe a bubble mailer if we're lucky. Don't get the $25 shipping fee. They also had a more expensive collector's edition. This is titled the Final Fantasy 35th Anniversary Edition. It looks good. It is $260 though, certainly geared towards the big Final Fantasy fans out there. 2-disc picture vinyl record set you can pick between the PlayStation or Switch version of the game. Comes with a nice lenticular sleeve. I actually think that looks pretty cool. We have the anniversary box there, the Pixel Remaster art book. It's a 128-page hardcover book, so that's pretty cool. Pixel figurines. They have the sizes, the dimensions there, and yeah, this is definitely all set up for collectors. Even that $75 edition, which, like I said, that sold out in about 30 minutes. It went to a waiting list only. So even though when you get to checkout, it was just over $100, the market decided that, yeah, we're gonna have to pick this up. And some of that had to do with Square saying these were gonna be extremely limited in quantity. So obviously people are looking at this as being one of the more rare releases on either platform. And I'm not actually that put off by their $75 price. I would have preferred them just to go for the full, like the regular $60 price, publish it normally, put it out there in all different stores, your Targets, your Walmarts, Best Buys, Amazons, and treat it like a regular release. But this is the route they went because they figured, oh, we're gonna do a few of these and we'll just have it up for collectors and that'll be that. And they're gonna just mostly roll towards a digital release like they've done on places like Steam, where they release them in batches. The one thing I guess here is we have an idea as to how much they will release for, since the $75 version has lined up at this point. We can see over on Steam, we have Final Fantasy 1 and 2 coming in at $12 each, and then we have 3, 4, 5, and 6 at $18 each. The only thing that I guess I'd be frustrated with outside of the shipping cost, the fact that it was announced at 1 a.m. for me, and it sold out in 30 minutes. The font does not appear to be fixed. So if you were annoyed by that with the releases they've done on PC, well, you'd have a good time with this one. But if you're not interested in the physical copy or the collector's edition, look towards spring 2023 when they start releasing these in individual listings on the eShop. I'm trying to figure out still if they're going to do these in waves like they did with the PC versions, where I think initially they released 3 different games, and then from there they did a release, I know, for 5 and 6. 6 was like a big thing that they were releasing at that time. So if you want to just buy them individually, like I said, the price range $12 to $18. You can pick which ones you like. 6, obviously a go-to for a lot of people, but 5 is pretty good too. So let me know down below in the comments which one of these Final Fantasy games people should be keeping their eye on. Next up, let's talk about Nintendo and the Switch Online service, as just ahead of the holidays, Nintendo decided to drop one of the random updates for the Genesis. Yeah, not the Nintendo 64, unfortunately. I thought they might sneak something in there, at least they haven't yet. They're still this week, but let's take a look on Twitter at what Nintendo had for us. Starting with Golden Axe 2, that's a pretty good one. Alien Storm, also good. Columns, and then Virtua Fighter 2, not the 32X one, sadly, but hey, I mean, the Genesis games have been solid. We haven't had any weird graphical glitches or input latency, anything like that would cause concern. So this is another solid addition to that library that's pretty good for the Sega Genesis. My only thing that's a little annoying, as I mentioned before, is nothing for the Nintendo 64, so far anyway, in December, and GoldenEye is still missing. We all kind of figured they doubled up N64 games in November to make way for GoldenEye, and trust me, a lot of people are asking where it is. I think Sean made a video just solely on where is GoldenEye. They could still surprise us this week, but I mean, after this week, we'll be beyond the Christmas, then we go to the New Year's, and then a lot of these companies go on break for the most part with certification and other things until like the second week in January to get the new year started. So if it's not this week, or at least it hasn't been planned for this week, that's kind of it for this year. And I guess we can look towards January or February for GoldenEye. I'm still trying to figure out, because they have to time this with Xbox, if it is going to be treated like a typical NSO release. And I mean, maybe Microsoft wants to release a certain month and Nintendo coincides with that. It's going to be an interesting thing to see when it finally gets revealed when GoldenEye is coming out. But for now, hey, not too bad with some good Sega Genesis games getting thrown in there for December. Also, while we're on the topic of December releases, we're 2/3 of the way through December now, and there's still no sports story anywhere. So I know people are asking about GoldenEye, but we got to start asking the serious questions. What's going on with Sports Story? Because it has, 11 days left to release to make it in December. Next up, let's talk about Xbox Game Pass and a potential tier of the service that would be cheaper than what's currently available that we could see in the future. At least this is something that was spotted on Reset Era with a survey question that was posted up, kind of asking the user, what do you think about a cheaper alternative for Game Pass with some limitations and ad support? Yeah, we can see this posted up over on Windows Central. They say the cheaper tier would include all of Xbox's exclusive library of games, including major first-party titles 6 months after launch. Those games, however, would play ads upon launch to help fund the tier. This would come in at a cost of $3 per month. I assume it wouldn't support EA either. Like, they have the EA Play edition for Xbox Game Pass, that being part of Game Pass Ultimate. So it would be a cut down number of games from that Game Pass library that we currently know now. And 6-month delay on those big titles, say like Starfield, you have to wait half a year to jump into that game from its release. And the ad support. That's the one that people were having a lot of conversation around, because Microsoft recently, there was a patent that was discovered that had to do with placing personalized advertisements in games. It was marked as billboards. For example, in an open world game where you're kind of running around or driving around, maybe based on your recent search history or just games you've purchased or something in the shop, it'll put an ad up for, I don't know, Call of Duty's latest season or something, maybe even doing a lot of Warzone, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, we have some new items coming to the shop. There it is up on that billboard. That farmed user data could also be used in the sense of, we're going to play this advertisement for Domino's before you start playing Halo because you ordered a pizza the other night. And I will admit, going from $15 a month for Game Pass Ultimate down to $3 for this Game Pass Lite tier, I mean, that is a compelling price difference. $12 per month for the entire year, that adds up pretty quick. And would it be worth the wait for 6 months for games like these big titles that just released to finally come to that service? And would it be worth seeing advertisements before you jump into a game? That's kind of the question there, and probably why, yeah, Microsoft's doing a lot of research right now in surveys. But to me, it's just another option. And if you don't want to wait for ads, or if you don't want to wait through ads or 6-month window, you just kind of upgrade to the bigger tier. This would just be another way to get people into the ecosystem at a lower price point. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about High on Life. I've been playing this game a bit. I might do a video discussing some of my thoughts around the game, but I was curious to see how it would fare on places like Steam, where it's just being sold outright at $60, and even, I guess, the overall play time on the Xbox, as there are charts that'll rank, okay, how many people are playing this game, and we'll put them in like 1 through 20 order there based on the amount of user engagement. Let's start with Steam first. We can see this over on the SteamDB site. We have High on Life above Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 for top sellers of the week. Yeah, and High on Life, $60 on Steam. It's not part of Game Pass, so it seems to be doing pretty well there. And then Benji Sales did tweet out an image of High on Life coming in at number 4, and it's above some of the free-to-play titles like Apex Legend. It is behind Fortnite, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 in terms of users, but that's probably not shocking since those games are always at the top of this chart. I also noticed over on Steam, it's very positive when it comes to the user reviews for it. And even over on Metacritic, the user score is much higher than the critic score. And I do wonder if this is another title similar to Callisto Protocol, where just in general, the gaming public that played it and had opinions on it seemed to be higher than what was given for critic reviews. Another split here. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the comedic aspect to it. If the comedy lands, and I think the gameplay is solid enough, it's not going to blow you away or be extremely memorable years from now. But if the comedy lands, I think the gameplay is good enough to hold it all up for you, and you'll probably have a good time. But if you're eye-rolling at half the stuff that's being said or just annoyed by it, I don't think the gameplay is enough to kind of keep you there to just get through that sort of narration. But I'm enjoying my time with it. I think I'm actually getting close to the end, so I don't think it's a very long game necessarily, but maybe I'll do a video and talk about it a bit more. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, for streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, all that, are you interested in the cheaper ad-supported tiers if they are available? 21% said yes, I don't mind ads if I'm saving money on the monthly fee. Then 79% said no, I would rather spend more and have no ads. I will admit, it's a little strange for me when I'm paying $8 a month and I still see advertisements. I would just prefer to go up an extra couple of dollars. Usually the difference is like $4 or $5 per month, and there's just no ads at all. It seems strange for me when I'm paying money and I'm still getting commercials on these streaming services. Although I guess technically, if you pay for cable, you're paying a lot more and you're getting commercials all the time. So maybe that's sort of the way people will view it. But for me, I just rather not see any ads. I just go forward with whatever content I'm picking. And that's one of the reasons I even have like YouTube Premium. It's a much better overall experience that way. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Baked saying, seeing Valve's stance on future revisions really helps put into perspective what Nintendo feels. They seem to have a similar mindset to Nintendo, and the fact that rather than a Pro model, they'd rather wait out for a Steam Deck 2 might showcase what direction Nintendo is heading and why they haven't released a Pro model yet. I think for Nintendo, they're fine where they are right now. The system keeps selling, and they are planning out the future for their platform, whether they do extend it with a Pro model or they just go to the next generation system in a year or two as it is. I am wondering though, even if they go next gen, it might not match up to the Steam Deck in terms of raw compute performance. It might just kind of get there through different tricks and things that NVIDIA has, like DLSS. So that'll be an interesting day on the internet when we eventually find out the specifications, the clock speeds, all these different things for what should be a highly customized chip that NVIDIA develops for the Switch 2 or next gen Switch Pro, whatever it is, and we start lining up things like teraflops or gigaflops or whatever, and people realize, oh, this isn't as strong as something like the Steam Deck, but then they see some of the performance with advanced upscale, and they're like, oh, it actually doesn't matter that much, and the battery life is still decent. Valve has a lot they have to work out with the Steam Deck going forward, but they're pretty new to just developing hardware like this in general, so I am curious what Valve is able to do with their own revisions of the Steam Deck going forward. But yeah, their focus, not exactly on more power, just on better, I assume, ergonomics, size of the system, and working out things like the battery life and screen. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. Today was the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters, the announcement that it's going to consoles. Did that catch you by surprise? And did you miss the pre-order window? There's about 30 minutes for the collector's edition. And then also, what about Nintendo with their Switch Online update? What do you think's going on with an N64 game for December? And where's GoldenEye? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.